This is probably the most important video I have ever made. It is great news about a despicable act which reflects a huge breakthrough in the deep state wall in Israel. I highly advise each and every one of you to watch the whole thing through to get the full story. It's hard to believe that while fighting a brutal 2-year war against barbaric jihadi Muslim terrorists, our holy brave IDF fighters have also had to battle a second enemy, a betrayal from within, orchestrated by Israel's own deep state. I've been talking about this Sde Teiman prison case for a year and a half now, calling it for what it truly is, the worst blood libel against Jews in modern all of history. This wasn't just a case of the justice system looking the other way. No, it is finally being exposed that elements within Israel's own legal establishment, the so-called guardians of justice, played a central role in creating and spreading this blood libel against our own holy IDF soldiers in the middle of a war for our survival, to stop the war. And now finally the truth is starting to come out. More Israelis and Jews are starting to hear the truth because the mainstream media has suppressed it. The IDF spokesperson just announced that a criminal investigation has been opened into the leaked and manipulated video from the Sde Teiman prison facility, more than a year after it was used to smear our IDF heroes and hand Hamas and its allies around the world a global propaganda victory against us, the Jewish people in the Jewish state of Israel, and our holy IDF soldiers. The investigation isn't just about the leaking of the video. It's about who spread it. And the trail leads straight into the military prosecutor's office itself. Military Advocate General Lieutenant Colonel Sde Teiman admitted to leaking the video, approving spreading the video, and internal WhatsApp communications with her military legal staff prove that her department were all part of the leak and then the cover-up. Think about that. The very people charged with defending Israel's rule of law and protecting our soldiers were actively involved in framing our soldiers. That's not negligence. That's serious betrayal. The Army has since let Military Advocate General Lieutenant Colonel Sde Teiman go on leave, but she was not arrested and her phone was not taken away. Instead, she has gotten rid of her phone and scared the whole country that she committed suicide, which in the end she didn't. But everyone's looking for that phone for all the evidence that it has. She's the head of the JAG of the Army. Israeli journalist Ariel Kahana blasts the police following the investigation of leaking the video from Sde Teiman. Quote, "If you let her go on vacation, you understand that very serious things have happened here. She damaged the security of the state of Israel. And I will tell you more than that. We need to check if it did not come for treason." End quote. Honestly, every one of the legal officials that will be convicted in the fabrication of that video and leaking of that video should be jailed for treason. Let's remember what Sde Teiman was: a temporary prison detention facility for October 7th terrorists. It held the most dangerous terrorists of Hamas from October 7th. The murderers who took part in butchering, burning, and raping over 1,200 innocent Israelis. Instead of supporting the IDF reservists who risked their lives to kill and capture those monsters, part of Israel's leading justice officials began prosecuting Israeli soldiers for killing terrorists on October 7th, or using guns that weren't theirs, and literally abusing the terrorists in jail. The worst was the infamous video leaked to Israeli Channel 12 news journalist Guy Peleg. The video that supposedly showed sexual assault and violence, which was later proven to be an edited video. Two separate clips that with a date. Two separate clips merged to look like one continuous event with a date that didn't make sense because the so-called Hamas terrorist victim wasn't even the Sde Teiman prison on the date shown in the video that supposedly he was abused on. But that didn't stop the deep state operatives and their mainstream media allies. They ran with the video. They spread the footage worldwide. Hamas, The United Nations and every anti-Semitic outlet on the planet paraded the video out there as proof of Israeli cruelty and human rights. Billions of people worldwide saw that manipulated video clip, and it even led to the United Nations resolution blaming Israel for sexually assaulting Hamas terrorists in jail. This libelous video leak played right into the Biden administration's hands at the time, because then they wanted to legally find a way to withhold arms from Israel in order to stop the war. Because according to U.S. law, it is forbidden for the U.S. to transfer weapons to a country that practices human rights violations. And the Biden administration was withholding weapons secretly, but now it wanted to publicly in a legal way. Was the leak by the military advocate general coordinated with the Biden administration for that purpose, to give the Biden administration a legal reason to stop supplying Israel for weapons to stop the war? In response to that video being viewed billions of times around the world, Jew hatred spiked everywhere. And still today, people shut down pro-Israel posts and arguments stating in exchange that Israeli soldiers are the worst sexual offenders in the world. And while Jewish communities faced another wave of hate abroad, our own Attorney General's office claimed that the leak did not harm state security. Seriously? A manipulated video that fueled global anti-Semitism, condemned our soldiers, led to a United Nations resolution against Israel, and damaged Israel's image in the war, and they say that it didn't harm security? That's not incompetence. That's intentional from the Attorney General. Even more shocking, evidence shows that members of the military prosecutor's office contacted released terrorists in Gaza, encouraging them to file abuse complaints against IDF soldiers. Israeli attorney Ephraim Dimri has gone on record saying that the one Hamas terrorist who was convinced to give testimony is one of the worst terrorists from October 7th. He is responsible for placing a baby in the oven and for raping the baby's mother. Imagine that. Israeli legal officials contacted that heinous, despicable, subhuman, and provided him talking points in order to help smear our holy IDF soldiers. Meanwhile, the holy IDF reservists of Force 100, those are the ones who were there in Sde Teiman, who had the horrible job of guarding those monsters in jail, found themselves crucified by the media for being the abusers, while in truth they are heroes who did their duty under impossible conditions, and who have been persecuted and had their lives destroyed for a year and a half. Masked military police stormed their base, arrested them like criminals, and built an entire case on the word of one Hamas terrorist, the one who put a baby in an oven and raped the mother. No proof, no corroboration. Video doesn't prove anything. Just a deep state vengeance against those who fight for Israel. As Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir said, the sight of military police arresting our best heroes is shameful. He's absolutely right. The shame belongs to those who sided with Hamas propaganda over our holy IDF Israeli soldiers. The Sde Teiman video affair is not just about one video. It's about a system, a corrupt, self-serving deep state within the security, legal, and media elite that undermines our soldiers, manipulates the truth, and weakens Israel from within, empowering our enemies. Because this deep state, these elites, they view proud religious right-wing Jews as the bigger threat to Israel than our evil jihadi Muslim enemies. And many of them, of those elites, have said those sentiments publicly over the past few years. Just the other day, a video was released of the police control room on the morning of October 7th, as just hours after the assault, 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, as reports were coming in that Jews were being slaughtered and taken hostage into Gaza. An intelligence Shin Bet official voiced his concern that, and this is on video, quote, Jews are organizing for revenge, instead of the truth, which was that Jews around the country were preparing to defend themselves from similar invasions into their communities, as I and all my friends were called up to defend our community in Judea and Samaria because we feared in October 7th by us. That highlights the deep state thinking on who is more dangerous. But here's the good news. The wall of the deep state is cracking. The lies are unraveling. The truth is coming out. And once again, the deep state has been exposed, not by its critics, but by its own corruption and cover-up. This is another break in the wall, the most serious brick to fall. Another step towards reclaiming our country from those who constantly betray us from within, those unelected bureaucrats. Yes, this is betrayal. Israeli Minister Amichai Shikli posted, quote, already months ago, at the Minister for Diaspora Affairs, we conducted an in-depth investigation that revealed the shocking psychological and perceptual harm caused to Israel by the video from Sde Teiman. The State Attorney's Office, the Attorney General, however, completely ignored the professional findings of the ministry and claimed that no harm had been caused, which is why we appealed at the time to the State Attorney. Now everything is clear. The house of cards is collapsing in on itself. End quote from Minister Shikli. Understand, credit is due to Defense Minister Israel Katz, who from the very beginning of his term, because he replaced the one before him, he did not let go of the Sde Teiman affair and the attempts to cover up the investigation. It has taken over a year, but thankfully in the end, it has paid off. That is how successful deep state officials are in covering up their misdeeds against the Israeli public. And let's not mince words. This has been a horrendous deed against all the Israeli public and the state of Israel. Israeli journalist Ayala Hasson was the first and only journalist in mainstream media who uncovered the fabrication of the libelous Sde Teiman video. She recently posted, quote, I hope you haven't forgotten where you first heard that the footage about Unit 100 at Sde Teiman was fabricated, that the only people who could have distributed it at that stage were senior officials who had access to the investigation materials. The public shaming I took is nothing compared to what mattered to me. I was hurting for the IDF soldiers whose blood was shed and for our hostages who suffered. The military advocate general has informed the chief of staff that she is taking leave until the investigation on the matter is completed. See you today at 5 to 7. Really looking forward to it. That was journalist Ayala Hasson a few days ago. This is the internal battle we are facing in Israel for decades. This is the behind-the-scenes agenda that Netanyahu and his governments have been facing every time they are in power for decades. As Jews, we are called to live in God's holy land with a sacred purpose to remove the evil that dwells within it. That evil is not only the jihadist Muslims who try to kill us, but also in the forces within our own midst that work tirelessly to weaken our resolve and prevent us from strengthening Israel into the proud Jewish nation we are destined and supposed to be and commanded to build in our holy ancestral homeland. The struggle is steep and many challenges still lie ahead, but we are winning and we will win. Our future in Israel is bright. Understand, this scandal wasn't exposed by the Attorney General, the Supreme Court, or the mainstream media. No, they all covered it up for over the year. The truth came out only because a senior military Attorney General officer, during a routine polygraph screening by the Shin Bet intelligence, admitted to authorizing the leak. That information was then stonewalled for a few weeks and only recently approved to be released to the public by the brand new Shabak intelligence chief, David Zini. The same man the legal and media elites tried to destroy after Netanyahu nominated him for the position. And now we understand why. Zini threatens their deep state control over Israel, just like what exists in the United States, where unelected officials and politicized prosecutors have weaponized the justice system to take down President Donald Trump and his agenda, while protecting their own political allies. It's the same pattern in Israel. The legal system shields insiders. The mainstream media runs interference and withholds the truth from the public. And anyone who threatens their power is smeared and silenced and even shamed. Had someone from the legal system's approved list been appointed head of the intelligence instead of David Zini, this scandal would have stayed buried. But Netanyahu stood firm behind Zini's appointment, fighting off a year of legal battles and Supreme Court decisions trying to stop him from being appointed. And because Netanyahu held firm, the truth about this treasonous video scandal finally broke through the wall of silence of the deep state, because Zini finally took the position of head of intelligence. Meanwhile, it is important to highlight that Attorney General Gali Baharav Miara appointed the same military advocate general to investigate her own department to find out about the leak. A blatant conflict of interest that even the Supreme Court approved when the decision was appealed based on the clear conflict of interest. How can the head officer of the Attorney General in the military be responsible for an investigation in her own office? One corrupt legal official was covering for another. And for years we've warned, Israel's legal elites operate just like the American ones. A self-protecting deep state that manipulates justice, manipulates the information published to the public to serve their own political goals. And now the mask is off in Israel. The wall is cracking. The military advocate general must lose her rank and face jail time for defaming our soldiers and damaging Israel and leading to the growth of anti-Semitism worldwide. It's time for true comprehensive judicial reform to end the deep state stranglehold and restore power and justice to the people of Israel. This first major brick has fallen. Now let's bring down the wall in Israel and everywhere, in every country where the deep state hides. After years of being called a conspiracy theorist for exposing Israel's deep state, it's finally being revealed for what it is. The conspiracy I've been talking about was real. It wasn't just a theory. People just didn't want to believe that senior officials in the justice system could be corrupt and ideologically motivated. We are today reclaiming our divine purpose as a nation, restored to its homeland, standing tall as proud Jews, determined to expose and replace those amongst us who have sought to stop us from fulfilling our destiny in our ancestral homeland. Great times are coming. But I just want to take a step back, because now I see many people questioning and doubting whether the Sde Teiman video actually is proof of the alleged abuse of the Hamas terrorists in jail. Well, here are the facts that the mainstream Israeli and Jewish media have been mostly refusing to report about the video for over a year. Again, it's Israeli journalist Ayala Hasson who proved beyond a shadow of a doubt over a year ago that the video was fabricated. Number one, it has two different video segments stitched together. Number two, the video has a timestamp on it. The Hamas terrorists, whose testimony the whole case is based upon, regarding abusive treatment by the IDF soldiers, was not in the prison on the day of that video footage with the timestamp to prove what that day actually was, making the case totally dead. Number three, act shocked on this one, the Hamas terrorist whose testimony the whole case was based on didn't even complain about any IDF abuse and didn't contact anyone in the IDF's Attorney General office with any complaint of abuse. He was convinced to give testimony of abuse by the Military Attorney General's office, even though he didn't want to. They convinced him to do it. Number four, it is not even clear from the video what is going on. The footage proves nothing. The accusations are based on the Hamas terrorists' false testimony and the headlines that went along with the video, not the video itself. Watch the video. Now act even more shocked. It has been publicized that the Hamas terrorist at the center of the Sde Teiman abuse scandal, yes, the very one who put a baby in an oven on October 7th and raped the mother, and whose claims were used to launch this witch hunt against our holy IDF soldiers, that terrorist, Hamas terrorist, has been released by the Military Advocate General's office back to, ready for this, to Gaza. Let that sink in. The prosecution has solved its little problem, because by releasing the terrorist, who was the key witness in the case, they have no case anymore. The investigation against the holy IDF heroes of Force 100, it's gone. It's now effectively over. They released the guy who they wanted to use as the witness. See how this works? They released a Hamas terrorist to prevent him from testifying, to bury the truth before he can even reach a courtroom. This all continues to prove what many of us have feared. The legal deep state is doing everything possible to cover up their horrific scandal that caused Israel the most damage ever in the past 77 years since the establishment of the Third Jewish Commonwealth, the man-state of Israel. Literally the most damaging blood libel against Jews in all of our history. created by our own senior IDF legal officials. And remember, we're not talking about some low-level operative. This man was a Hamas Nukba terrorist, one of those worst of the worst who took place in the October 7th massacre atrocities. And yet, instead of us being able to put him on trial for what he did on October 7th, they set him free. The very same system that is supposed to protect Israelis and Israeli soldiers. This is not justice. This is betrayal. Those responsible within the legal system must be held accountable. Jail time for life. Life for all the legal officials involved in this treasonous act and cover-up. This is nothing short of the most corrupt, disgraceful affair in Israel's history. And I'll say it again. This is very similar to an Israeli Dreyfus affair. And it's happening right now. The good news is it's helping us expose the dangerous deep state. To make it even more shocking, this terrorist never even claimed he was abused, not sexually, not in any other way. His original story, that he fell in the bathroom, and that's how he got injured. Then reportedly under pressure from the military prosecution, like I told you, and the intelligence services, his story magically changed to blame the IDF soldiers. And now suddenly he's free in Gaza. Why? Well, as I mentioned, maybe because they didn't want him to sing on the witness stand and actually tell the truth. Sound familiar? The same kind of manipulation we've seen in the Netanyahu investigations and trials though of course the situations are completely different, but again exposing the deep state that's been trying to take down Netanyahu. Who knows what this terrorist might have revealed if he'd spoken under oath? Not because of the oath, but because of the cross-examination. But one thing's for sure, this all stinks to high heavens. So let me just summarize this whole thing. This whole Sde Teiman fabricated video affair is unraveling into a toxic, multi-layered story of corruption and betrayal involving the IDF legal department, not just the military attorney general, the attorney general of Israel herself, and possibly others within the intelligence and legal system. This is not just another scandal, it's exposing the rot at the very heart of Israel's legal system. What's happening now could be the crack in the wall of the deep state apparatus that so many of us have been warning about and screaming about for decades. The one too many people refused to believe even existed because they just didn't want to believe it. The truth is finally breaking through. The days of blind trust in a corrupt system are coming to an end, even though they're going to fight tooth and nail against it being exposed and put out lie after lie. What did we witness? A massive leak, one of the most damaging blood libels in Israel's history that caused tremendous diplomatic damage to Israel and to the IDF. 2, an unprecedented conspiracy, a real conspiracy at the highest levels of the Military Advocate General's office, deceiving the High Court, the Knesset, and even the IDF Chief of Staff. 3, a shocking conflict of interest, an ongoing obstruction of justice that still is continuing at this moment by the military attorney general, the attorney general of the government, who still refuses to suspend anyone involved and recuse herself from involvement in the investigation, even though she allowed the military attorney general to investigate her own department. And let's be honest, there's a very high likelihood that the attorney general herself is personally involved in the video scandal as well, not just the cover-up. And there was possibly coordination with the Biden administration as a way of using this manipulated scandal to help the Biden administration stop the war. Help us from stopping the war. And all while political bias runs rampant, suspects getting preferential treatment based purely on their political identity, and the mainstream media still covering up for all these senior legal officials involved. This is not just another scandal. It's a full-blown earthquake that demands nothing less than a complete dismantling and rebuilding of both the state attorney's office and the military advocate general's office. The people of Israel deserve truth, transparency, and justice, not a corrupt judicial system protecting its own and its own political agenda that's about stopping Israel from being a proud, strong Jewish state. Please God, may we witness the total crumbling of the deep state so the Jewish state of Israel can move forward in the right direction. We're doing it. It is this deep state apparatus that has caused Israel to drag on this war for 2 years and continue dealing with terrorism instead of ending it to protect Israel properly. It has been stopping our governments from implementing policies that would protect the people of Israel, giving more rights to the terrorists who kill us and their families than protecting Israelis. How many lives, including soldiers' lives and civilian lives, could have been saved otherwise if this deep state had been neutered and powerless all of these years? We could have ended the terror war against us decades ago, as it was the progressive anti-Jewish agenda of the deep state, led by the legal establishment, using their decisions, because they're the law, that stopped us year after year from acting in our own best interest to protect our lives and our communities. So, I'm sorry it's taken this long, but we are finally overcoming this internal evil and betrayal. And yes, I will call it out as evil and betrayal. Strengthen your God above. Good times are coming for the Jewish people, reclaiming our role as being a light into the nations from our ancestral homeland, God's holy land. Our purpose? Bring holiness, goodness, and morality to the world by spreading it from here, from God's holy land, and by getting rid of the evil within God's holy land. The evil from our jihadi Muslim enemies, and yes, evil from deep state actors trying to stop us from being the true Jewish nation we're supposed to be in our homeland. Good times are coming. Am Yisrael Chai. If you are not yet a subscriber to our daily, belief-based, inspiring, politically incorrect, truthful videos about Israel, the Jewish people, and the freedom-loving world, what are you waiting for? Go to pulsevisual.com and click to subscribe today. And yes, we are a donor-based operation. We need your donations for support in order to make these videos and get our videos seen and do all the work we do. So every once in a while, whether a large donation or a small donation, just go to pulsevisual.com and click on the donate button. Shalom, everyone, and thanks for watching.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.